Hi, Joe Cerrone. I'm going to go through the modeling part of Lab 2. As you recall, we have these different shapes that we drew. These shapes basically came from our D2L, and we have these exercises 2.1. And so they're basically just a grid pattern of these three-dimensional objects. And so to be able to do these exercises properly, what we want to do is to draw them 2D. And so you'll have the front view, the top view, and the right side. Don't forget to use hidden lines and to use center lines. And so I pulled one of the assignments from last semester, and this student forgot to put center lines. And so I was grading them, putting center lines on all of them. They do kind of get in the way when you start to model, so you may have to turn off center lines, but that's the way it goes. If I wanted to go through and model this cylinder, the fastest way for me would be to copy it. And so I'd select it, and then I'd copy it. I have to switch back to a two-dimensional workspace. And so I'd say copy, and then I'd select it. And I'd move it from the center. And then what I recommend is just find a space in model space. Model space is infinite. And so you can model something as big as the solar system, and you can use units like that. And so when you go into units, they have a million different types of units that you can work with. And so some of them are, you know, these scientific units that you can make just big, huge planets and stuff. Once you have that part moved over, I'm going to just count how many squares that is. It's a little hard to see. Let's say it's 6. And so if I come back over here to the part, what I want to do is grab an isometric view. I always grab southeast. I guess it was because the author I learned 3D from did the same. And then when you take these and you want to model them, if I turn on the toolbar, show menu bar, tools, toolbars, AutoCAD. I'm going to just grab the modeling toolbar so I don't have to keep switching workspaces. And press pull is the easiest one to use. Sometimes it doesn't work, but the way it works is if you say press pull and you hover and acquire the geometry, then you can just press it. And I'll just press this up 6 units, and I'll just type 6. And so that's how you would create that shape for exercise 2. Now, if I look at exercise 2, it's orientated different. And so if you use the 3D rotate command, and it's right over here, you can select the object, hit enter, and then you'll get this gizmo, they call it. And it's got your X, Y, and Z axis. They correspond in colors to the X, Y, and Z. But what you do is you click on the axis you want to rotate around, and then you just move it. It's best to move it in 90-degree increments. So you can turn on ortho or use your polar. You see I have a green line tracking up here. That's a good thing. And so try to move them in 90-degree increments. It leaves the original, so you can erase that or turn it and put it on a layer that is turned off. Okay, let's do a couple more and then we'll end this video. So these are pretty straightforward. You can go through and create this with just an extrude or a press pull. Same with this, same with this, same with this. This one's a little tricky, so we'll do this one. So if you have this one, which is a pyramid, a lot of times I'll just model it right on top of this one and move it. And so what I'll do is I'll go to the pyramid command, and then I'll create a pyramid right in the center, and I'll track it out. And you'll go, hey, it doesn't fit, Joe. And I go, I know. And then I'll go to the height of that. The height of this one, I'm just going to say is, it looks like it's 3. If it's not, it won't make a big difference. You can make it 3 or 4. I'm going to say 3. And so once I have that, you're like, hey, it doesn't fit. Shift middle mouse wheel. So what you do is you use grips, and you can use what's called sub-object editing to manipulate your 3D object. So if I hold shift and I click on a 3D primitives, maybe it's control, and click, I'll get a sub-object. And so I'll have this, And I should be able to, let me try this again. There it goes. I'm not sure. I think it'll pull the whole thing out. Yeah, because I'm not in the sub object there. So I think I can hold shift and click on it. It's always something when I'm recording. Apparently it's control. Whenever you get in trouble like I am right here, if you go out on Google and you just Google it, that's almost better than working with it. And so if you can say sub-object, sub-object selection in AutoCAD. And so what you want to do is to be able to get these grips on it. And so it is control click that you can do that with. And so if I come back here and I control click, then I can grab that grip. There we go. Control click, and I can grab this one. And then will just bring them partially. And it's sometimes kind of temperamental. Let's try it again. Control click on this one, and then we'll bring that over. And so that's how you would do that exercise. And then I can just move it over to my other models. These other ones, like this one here, this is just a cone. This one here will require some Boolean. And so to do this exercise, what I would do is to copy it. And you want to decide which view you want to take. Take a view which you can get a good extrusion from. And so I'm going to take that one because it has the best features. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a top view with this, and then I'm going to go to an isometric view. Now, if I take and look at these, what I have is, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 units. And so we can either extrude these or press pull them. And I would say, if we follow my methodology, turn it into a region like that. And then what I would do is I would extrude it or press pull it. I like extrude. So I'll extrude this and I'll just go up 4 units. I'll turn the wireframe on. So I'll go to wireframe. I may be able to extrude this. I'm not sure because I don't have full geometry. And so remember when I was talking before about how that worked. So I'm going to show you a different way well, let's not. Let's just, here's how I would do this. I'm going to use a different color so you can see it. I'm going to make it by layer. What I would do is I would draw a rectangle on top of this like that. And then I would extrude that. It looks like it's 2 units. So I would say extrude. I'd select it, hit enter, and then I'd go up 2. And then I would move it. And so you can 3D move it. Grab the rocket and move it up 1 unit. Let's see. Yeah, 1 unit in the Z-axis. And it'll track in the Z-axis. And so that's where it goes in the part. Now I realize I've been doing this for a while, so I'll show you a second way to do this. Let me copy that. And so the first way, the way that I was originally on there, what you'll find if I x-ray this is that they're still in the same, it's not been subtracted. So you have to subtract it. So you can say subtract, select the large shape, hit enter, and then the part to subtract from it. Now see, this is what I mean. You can't always select the object inside of another one. So you have to sometimes switch it over to wireframe and then do it again, subtract. It's an 80s program. Hit enter. But how many programs do you know that people are still using from the 80s? Not even Lotus Notes and stuff like that. And so that's the shape. If I go and I change it to conceptual, you can see the part's been cut out. If I go to 3D rotate, and I just go and grab it, or like that. If I look at my picture, yeah, that's the orientation that they left it in. Now, if I rotate this one and draw on the top of it, I could make that square. It might not be easier as I think about it, but let's just try it. And so I can work on the top of it, and I can draw a rectangle on the top of it right here, but I'm going to have to turn off my O snap. And then I'm going to have to turn off my 3D O snap. And what I would do would be to draw on this top surface here a rectangle. Hopefully I grab the top of it. And it's tough to see it, so let me, there it is. So I actually got it, almost got it. So my snap isn't on, that's the problem. It doesn't snap to the exact spot. So here's a trick. What you do is you turn off the snap, and so you say snap, and then you turn it off, then you say move, you select it, you hit enter, you give it a base point, got to have O snap on for that. And then while it's still moving without snap, you turn the snap back on, and that's the F9 key. And so let me see. Unfortunately, I'm on my new laptop and I can't find the F9. So I'm going to use a transparent command, apostrophe SNAP. And then I'll turn it on, old school. And so now when the snap is on, you could have just hit the F9 key if I could have figured out where it was. Now I can move it to a snappable point, just a trick. And now when I go and I draw this, I can do that. If I look at it, I'm at the wrong. All right, so that's not working out. Let's just do it this way. The other way, if I really get you guys confused, would be what's called a UCS. And so what you do is you use what's called a 3-point UCS. You type UCS and then the number 3, and then you put the UCS axis on the top. And so I can, and it's starting to grab it now automatically, which it should have done before. But now my XYZ is on the top. And so when I draw a cube, now I'm working on the top. Because remember what I was saying was 3D is really just manipulating the XY plane. And then I can extrude that down this way. Let's say it's 3. And subtract it. If we go to something conceptual, you can kind of see it, subtract. Large shape, hit enter. Smaller shape. Shift, since I missed it, try to get it. There it is, enter. Wahoo. All right, so that's some basic technique to create these different shapes. And all I really need from you guys is the shapes. You know, the 2D one you can create in one. If you want to go and create a second one with the 3D, you can just leave them floating out there if you want. If you want to get fancy, you can go into layout mode and you can double click in one of them and make it view, 3D view, top view. You can put the top view in one. This is sort of the way you would do it if you were on the job. And then you go to the second layout tab and you can click in the viewport, and then you can have just the isometric ones in the second one. And you could then rename it. So you could rename 3D parts. It doesn't seem to like what I do. I get the 3D part, and then you could name that one 2D. Okay, I'm gonna end the video and open this up for questions.